Hi, everybody. I'm Coach Bob McCreary, the founder of Baseball by the Yard. In a couple seconds, you're going to see a portion of a coaching clinic that I did online for an organization near me. I did 6 coaching sessions for them covering all areas of the game, and you're going to watch a small portion of one of those sessions. So hopefully you find the content useful, but I'm posting this video as a way of saying that if you are in charge of a youth program and you think your coaches might benefit from these types of sessions, shoot me an email and there may be something that I can do specifically for your organization. So hope you find the content useful and let me know if you think this is something that I can do for you. All right, let's get to the show. This is our second of hopefully 6 sessions. And so this one, as you can see, is going to be on progression drills, something that Mike thought would be beneficial for coaches to learn about if they're not already using them, and to get some samples of some progression drills. Now, it would be great if I were able to have these all on video. I did take a lot of photographs of my son Cole doing these progression drills in sequence. So I'm hoping that the photographs can come through well. The videos don't tend to work well over Google Meet. And so that's why I chose the photographs. So hopefully you guys can understand kind of the sequence of them. And certainly if you have any questions, then certainly let me know. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about those 4 things. What are progression drills? Why use them? And then, as it says there, I'm going to get specific when it comes to drills for throwing. I talked about the importance of throwing last week. And then the progression drills for fielding. Okay, how to do them, but also sometimes more importantly, why. Not just for the coaches, so that you guys can hopefully explain it to the players as well. So the 2 photographs up there, pretty much that's a popular one with players with their front knee up, and they're practicing the different stages of throwing. And so we'll get into similar types of drills in a little bit. So first off, by definition, what are progression drills? A lot of you probably already use them. But basically, progression drills allow you kind of a step-by-step set of drills to really break down any fundamental into its core parts and kind of make sure the kids are learning the sequential nature of, in this case, throwing a baseball. There's a lot going on with throwing a baseball. And what I mentioned last week was, unfortunately, throwing a baseball is not something you can fix very easily. Once kids get to a certain age, their arm is pretty much set. There's really not much you can do, unfortunately. So we want to try to reach them as soon as we can to try to get them through the proper sequential part of throwing so that they obviously can play the game a little bit longer and have a little bit more success. So why do them? Well, it does prevent haphazard movements and kind of that hope mentality of I just, give a kid a ball and have him throw it and just hope he kind of figures it out. Like I said, that doesn't tend to end well if the player does not really grasp the sequential part of it and really get and really get a good hold of the basics there. Now let's see. I did get a comment here. Let's see what that comment was. Are the slides from the Sunday sessions going to be shared? Matt, they are going to be. I'm recording them now, and so they are going to be put on the website in video form. I can talk to Mike and possibly share them with you guys as well, just the slides, if that's something you may want to do. So maybe we'll get to that at another time there. I'll talk to Mike about that. And also probably the most important thing, especially for coaches of younger players, progression drills do a really good job of controlling the throwing environment. You guys, if you coach before, you know how dangerous it can be with little kids with balls thrown all over the place. So progression drills really allow a very controlled throwing environment for warm-ups. And of course, that's going to add safety to your practices as well. Okay, so first off, before I get into the actual drills to focus on throwing, I wanted to show you what I consider to be the 5 basic steps to throwing a baseball. As you get older, there's going to be a lot of different technique involved with each one of these steps. But basically, each of the progression drills are going to focus on multiple aspects of this procedure. Okay, so let's see. I got pictures here. Right, so the procedures of throwing, I have a picture for all 5 of them. So first one, just get a grip of the baseball. As kids get older, there's more specifics as to how they're actually going to grip the ball by basically what position they play. But the little kids basically just have them grab a seat. Okay, that's procedure number 1. Procedure number 2, it said turn sideways. And so the whole side of their body, front side, is facing the target. And so those 6 stars represent what we used to call their throwing eyes. Get all 6 of their throwing eyes facing their target. So the eyes on their head, we tell the kids pretend they have eyes on the lead shoulder, the lead elbow, the lead hip, the side of the lead knee, and the side of the lead foot. Get all 6 of those throwing eyes facing your target. That is procedure number 2. Procedure number 3 is a very important one. That's why I circled it, is when kids separate their hands, that their thumb is pointing down. Okay, the thumb's down when they separate their hands, and I'll come back to that one. And then in the upper right, you have the 4th procedure, and that is getting the elbow above their shoulder. Okay, it can be at or above their shoulder. And then the last one is reversing their sides. So you can see that picture, the pitcher in the photo. What used to be his backside is now facing the batter. So his front side has been reversed. His front side is now facing second base, and so he has reversed his shoulders. Now, how much a player reverses all those sides is going to depend on what position he plays. And so, like I said, as kids get older and they get more position specific, there's going to be more details involved in each one of these procedures. But even if you're not very knowledgeable about baseball and throwing, if you just focus on those 5 things, and so if I back up here, to those five procedures. As long as we can teach the kids those 5 procedures, generally things will work out okay. We don't have to get into too much detail. As they get older, they certainly will have to. But at the Little League level, you don't really have to go too much farther than the procedure. So get a grip of the seams, turn sideways, separate the hands with the thumbs down, keep your elbow up, and reverse your sides. And that's pretty much the fundamentals of throwing a baseball. All right, so when we get into progression drills, I have 7 here. There's dozens and dozens more that I could throw in here, but I put these 7 here because these are ones that I typically used a lot in my own practice at CP, and so that's why I'm going to share them. These are ones that I think work very well, but there are certainly other ones as well. What you'll also notice is that they're in order of progressing their way through those procedures. Okay, each drill is going to work on multiple things for the most part, but it's basically from easy to more difficult. It also involves distance too. You don't need a lot of distance for number 1. Doing more things as you get up in those progression drills is going to allow you to lengthen that distance. So it's also warming up their arms as you're working your way through these drills. Now, to be honest, when I'm coaching here, I would never do all 7 of these in one practice. I may only do 2 or maybe 3. You could use them as a prior to warm up or prior to a practice warm up, like a full team type of practice. Or you could use these in stations and move kids around and just have 1 or 2 progression drills in each of the stations. And you could use them in many different ways, depending on your needs there. All right, so the first one is called a wrist drill. Okay, so this one isolates the wrist. Now, the wrist is a very flexible joint. In the camera here, you can see me. I'm moving my wrist in every different direction. Your elbow really only works in one way. Okay, that's why there's a lot of elbow injuries in baseball, because when you throw a baseball overhand, you're not using the elbow the way it's supposed to move. Same thing with your shoulder. Your shoulder is not really meant to do a lot of work over your head. And so that's not a very flexible joint either. Okay, so you put those 2 together and you have a lot of throwing safety issues just by throwing correctly. It's just not, the arm is not designed to do that for long periods of time. So if we can take any pressure off that elbow and the shoulder, we're doing the kids a favor. Okay, so basically for this drill is we're trying to get them to have the most flexibility out of their wrist so we can use that joint, which is very flexible, as opposed to their elbow and their shoulder as much. So this one's real simple. Starting on the left, he takes his non-throwing hand and he puts it under his elbow, and that takes care of making sure that his elbow is above his shoulder. He takes his hand all the way back and then moves the hand all the way forward and flips the ball. Now, it's important that his hand finishes kind of like that goose's neck there, so that the kids are getting that full range of motion out of their wrist. A lot of young kids do what I call flat wristing. Their wrist stays flat throughout the throwing process, and so they're not using their wrist, which is that flexible joint. So this is a real simple drill. They can do with a partner, with a coach. The partner's maybe six feet away, and really just flipping the ball like that. And it doesn't even have to be a tennis or a real ball. It could be a tennis ball, any type of ball, because you're really just focusing on the wrist there. So that's a basic one that I would start off practice just to begin getting their arm loose and reminding them of the importance of using their wrist when they actually throw. Okay, so focuses on there, as I said, wrist use, flexibility, just kind of getting that throwing process started.